Is it our destiny to cross paths with the unseen memories that linger in the places we least expect? Good evening, listeners. I'm Paul, and tonight on Stories Philippines podcast, I invite you to journey with me across seas, to a realm where tradition intertwines with the whispers of the past. A story from Japan shared by a friend, as haunting as it is enigmatic. Let's meet our central figure, Kenji, a young man whose teenage years were marked by escapes to the countryside, where the metropolis's bustle gave way to the time-softened beauty of his grandparents' home in the rural serenity of Nueva Ecija. Here, between the expanse of rice paddies and the guardianship of ancient trees, Kenji found a peace untouched by the frenetic tempo of city life. His grandparents, bearers of wisdom and stewards of old ways, were steadfast in their commitment to their homeland. They spoke often of a mission tethered to an event shrouded in whispers, an unsolved crime from their youth that took the life of a child whose spirit was said to haunt the village. Through faith and fervent prayers, they believed themselves protectors against the lingering shadows that once tormented their neighbors. It was on one of these tranquil sojourns that Kenji would encounter an event that cast a shadow upon the tranquility he so cherished, revealing the heart of his grandparents' persistent vigils. On an afternoon when Kenji expected the familiar hum of familial activity, he found silence instead. The home, usually abuzz with life, stood oddly still, his grandparents nowhere to be found. Filled with unease yet compelled by the day's stillness, Kenji ventured inside the ancestral house. Within its walls, he entered the traditional tatami room, its sliding doors parting to reveal a scattering of papers emblazoned with kanji, mysterious and undecipherable. Drawn by an inexplicable urge, Kenji examined the storied chamber, its air unnervingly cold despite the summer's heat. As Kenji wrestled with the impulse to flee, the stillness was shattered by the sound of rushing footsteps. Panic surged through him. The footsteps were too quick, too frantic to belong to his elderly kin. Fear rooted him in place as a shadow loomed against the paper door, its form small and childlike, pressing against the thin barrier with a sense of yearning and sorrow. Choked by terror, Kenji's voice erupted in a cry for help. Distantly, he heard his grandparents' voices, urging caution, warning him against opening the door. Their words were muffled, their forms casting eerie silhouettes alongside the child's ghostly figure. The desire to tear open the door and confront the mystery was almost overwhelming. It was then, in the height of his terror, that Kenji woke, finding himself in the safety of his own bed, his parents there to comfort him after what they assured was only a nightmare. Yet relief was transient. Upon stepping out of his room, Kenji was plunged back into the countryside home, the sliding door slightly ajar as if he had indeed opened it. Before him stood the faceless whisper of the child, its voice trembling. "Help me, I was murdered," it said, sending Kenji spiraling back into consciousness, realizing that what he thought was his waking was part of the nightmare. Haunted by the vivid dreams that blurred into his reality, Kenji now grapples with the unsolved mystery of the child, a spirit that echoes through his memory, as unshakable as the legacy left by his ancestors. Listeners, as we come to the end of Kenji's chilling experience, we are reminded that the lines between our world and the next are sometimes but a breath apart. Could it be that Kenji's story is not just his own, but a chapter in a much larger tale that binds us to the spirits that walk unseen among us? Until we meet again, May your evenings be free from the restless echoes of the past. Good night, and let us take heed. If the night whispers, listen carefully, for not all that beckons does so with kind intentions. Thank you for joining me in unraveling the mysteries that wait just beyond our sight.